Hi, good morning, everyone. We'll get started in a few minutes here. All right. Okay. We're going to go ahead and get started, and this is being recorded, so everyone will be able to. We'll send it out as an email to everyone afterwards. Um, Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Um, Today, we're going to talk about prompting, and this is our third AI learning lab, and it's about making sure that you get the right results from what you're asking the AI. And I want you guys to think about ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini or any of these public AIs, LLMs, as a intern, a entry level intern that just happens to be really, really smart and really, really efficient. Why do I want you to think about it that way is because when you're building your prompt, being specific and not being contradictory will allow you to get really good results from your prompt or your request. So keep that in mind as we go through, and we'll be emailing this out to everyone. Today, you're going to leave with two different AI frameworks. And the reason this is critical is as our LLMs advance, if anyone noticed, anyone that's using ChatGPT, the AI feels dumber unless you're very specific or you think about what you're sending or what you're asking. So we're going to go through that, and we're going to talk about that as we go through our lab today. So the reality check is traditional workflows that a lot of documents, usually you don't have enough manpower or enough hours in a day. You're working on the weekends. And a lot of the work is repetitive. When you have an AI integrated workflow and you're incorporating AI, one of the first things we talked about in our first AI lab was to change the way we think, to become how do we incorporate AI into our workflow from the start, not middle of the project or middle of the task or whatnot, right? So traditional workflows versus AI workflows, you're going to save a lot of time. You're going to get through a lot of work. Repetitive tasks that don't need you to continuously do them or copy and paste or find an old letter that you sent out that you liked and you want to use that. So we're going to be talking about that. According to Thomson Reuters, 23% of attorneys actually spend time on the weekends doing repetitive tasks. And CPAs spend 40% of their time doing manual data entry and report generation, stuff that AI can probably do for you. So I want to take a quick poll, and I want to look at what's your biggest time drain. Feel free to drop it in the chat, and we'll go ahead and take a look here. Is it document review? Is it summarization? Is it writing letters or pleadings or financial reports for partners or whatnot? Is it research or analysis, or is it client communication? So we're going to be addressing how to accomplish some of these things and how to get AI to help you and shave 70% of the time. Great. I see a little bit of everything. A lot of A, document review and summarization. So awesome. So today's journey is going to talk about the 80-20 rule, some foundations, some frameworks, two frameworks primarily, the CLEAR framework and the CRISP framework. And that's a prompting framework that if you use the structure, you'll get good results almost every time. We're going to talk about legal, and we're going to talk about financial. How can this help you in financial, whether you're in a law firm and you're doing the accounting for a law firm, or you're a CPA or a financial advisor of some sort. And then we'll talk about an action plan. So why do most prompts fail? I see this a lot, and I get a lot of feedback where AI just doesn't help me. I could do it faster. I could do it better. Well, when I ask to see how they're using AI, usually I see what's on the left, a weak prompt, something that's vague. You're not being specific. If you gave this task and gave a contract to an intern and said, review this contract, do you think they're going to come back to you with a good analysis or a good report or a summary or an index of some sort? I doubt it. They'd have to be a really good intern and someone that just knows how to think outside the box to get that done. A strong prompt or something that will give you good results is saying something like, you're a contract attorney. I need you to review section 3.2 for liability issues and provide me an executive summary. That's a better prompt than our initial prompt, which is just review this contract. So vague prompt equals vague outputs equals waste of time. The more specific you are and the clearer you are, the better results you're going to get from a prompt. So the anatomy of a good prompt is set the expertise, tell it what is it doing, who does the AI need to act as, context, give it background information, important facts or key things that the AI needs to consider in its analysis or in its task. Give it a task. What do you need it to do? And what kind of output are you looking for? What is the task at hand? Is it analyze? Is it summarize? Is it draft a letter? Is it what is it? Give it constraints, right? Tell it where to focus its energy on and what to ignore. Tell it, be clear, communicate that stuff. Format. How do you want your output? Do you want it in a summary? Do you want a market research analysis? Do you need a table of some sort, an index? Be specific on what output you want. Bullet points, etc., etc. And give it some examples. It always helps to give it an example. Here's an example report I've written. I need you to maintain this format, but with this information. The 80-20 rule. A lot of the work that we do can be done by an AI. 80% of it, I believe, that you can use to get you 80% of the way, and you take it 20%. So for example, stop wasting time drafting letters. An AI can start it and you finish it, give it a human touch, verify that it's correct and accurate, and move on, right? Data gathering. It can go look for information in reports, in documents, in data, whatever you have, it can help you find information or spot inconsistencies or patterns or whatnot. And it can do a lot of the analysis for you and bring things to light, and then you can take that information and put your expertise on it and make it what it should be, right? The 20% is you're verifying. You're using your strategic judgment based on human interaction, based on your relationship with the client, based or the relationship in the situation. All of those things are part of what we need to do as a human, right? So start with AI, let it get you 80% of the way there, finish it off the last 20, take it home, give it your touch, give it your feeling, that kind of stuff. So the CLEAR framework is a very simple standard framework that even if you go to the OpenAI website, their documentation page, or even Claude or Gemini, they basically describe this in a different way. This is just an easy way for me to remember and how to make sure that I structure my prompts. So the CLEAR framework is context, give it background information, right? Review an M&A deal. Language. How do you want it to sound? Do you want it to be formal or casual? Who's the audience you're talking to? So when I write something, if I'm talking to a client, I say I'm speaking to a client versus I'm speaking to a technical engineer, or I'm speaking to an attorney, a professional, blah, 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 right? Be specific, tell it who you're talking to. Specify your expectations. What do you expect the outcome to be? When you talk about, when you're giving instructions, or you're putting in a request into ChatGPT or Claude, you need to ask it, you need to tell it what you're expecting, what your output is going to be. So give it your expectations. Find the top 3 risks. Find if there were any other injuries that were mentioned. Find loopholes in this contract, right? Find inconsistencies in the accounting. Audience, that goes with the language, but the audience is telling you who you're speaking to more specifically. And then your refinement, right? This is how many times you're asking it to clarify, or it's asking you to clarify. And you can do this 2 ways, and we'll talk about this as we go through. I'll give you guys some pro tips at the end. The CRISP framework is a little bit more for advanced tasks, things that need a little bit more thinking from the AI, reasoning from the AI, things like that. And that's capacity or role. You're a senior tax attorney. You're giving it the result, the outcome, the output. What do you expect from it? A memo, a executive summary, a presentation report, or a deck, whatever it is, right? Insight, that's context. That's just another fancy word for context, right? What is the client? What are we dealing with? Give me information that I need to incorporate in my reasoning, right? Just like you would when you're analyzing someone's financial records, or you're analyzing a contract, or you're analyzing, you need to know, what is this contract about? What is the relationship going to look like, right? All of those things you're asking for, you need to give that same information to the AI. Otherwise, it doesn't know, and it's going to guess. And 9 times out of 10, you're going to be frustrated with its guess. Steps. Tell it exactly what you want it to do. I need you to analyze, identify, assess, then write a report or provide me. And I'll show you guys some examples of the CRISP framework. Personality. What's the tone? What's the style of writing? What's the style of output that it's going to give you? And then give it some examples. Right? If you notice, we've said give it examples a few times already, right? So when to use which one? Clear is good for quick tasks, repetitive tasks like emails or summaries, things that don't require a lot of reasoning from the AI. You're looking for something simple, quick, easy to read information. CRISP is more for complex analysis, research, strategies, reports, detailed reports, those types of things. So keep that in mind. I would always start with the clear, go into CRISP. There are a few other prompting techniques that you add into those frameworks that you're going to want to incorporate when you're going through it, right? So 0 shot is, I ask a quick question, I get a quick response. It's straightforward. It's a question, single answer. I'm not asking it to think about anything. I'm not asking it to do things. I'm looking for information. A few shot is where you ask it to go look for information. You analyze that information. You either ask follow-up questions, or you give it a task of something you want it to do. For example, does this contract reference any arbitration clauses, right? Maybe it's not clearly outputted, right? I'm just using an example. It's going to go look, and then it's going to come back, and it's going to say, no, there's no arbitration clause. Great. I need you to draft an arbitration clause for me that will fit into this contract, or whatever it is. And so you've now looked for information, found that it's missing something, or found that something needs to be adjusted, and then you ask it to go do something else. Now, a chain of thought is a little bit more of a build out. You're going through detailed info. You ask it to do detailed research. You analyze that research. You then dice up that research to other things, or you have it go deeper into certain areas. You're doing that step by step in an iterative process with the AI. Then you're doing analysis and you're having to do deep thinking, and it's just following you in your process to get to the end result. And it's assisting you as if you had an assistant or an intern that you can give it certain things to go look at while you're working on strategy and things like that. So let's look at a legal prompt template, right, for a contract review. This is using the CLEAR format, okay? You're an experienced commercial attorney in blank industry. Analyze and provide an executive summary of key terms, risks, give me a risk assessment matrix, and missing standard clauses, negotiation recommendations. Flag non-market terms and liability caps. I need the output, the format, to be an executive summary, plus a risk matrix, plus an action list. It's a simple prompt. It knows what it needs to do, and it's going to give that information back to you. Let's go something a little bit more complex where we're using the CRISP method. You're an expert litigation support analyst. I need a comprehensive deposition summary with key admissions or contradictions highlighted. This is what we're looking for from multiple depositions of the same person. Maybe it's an expert. Maybe you've had multiple depositions and you're trying to get information. Insight, this is where you give it some context. This is a deposition that relates to this case. Here's some issues we've been dealing with. This is what we're looking for. I'm trying to look for these admissions. Give it information so that it can help you get to that result. Give it the steps. Create a chronological summary, extract all admissions, identify contradictions with prior statements, flag exhibits referenced, and note areas for follow-up. Personality should be objective, precise, and legally focused. The format, I need page-like citations for all quotes. I need separate sections for key admissions, and I need a contradiction table with references. This is going to give you a good report out of a stack of documents. You're not having to spend 3 hours going through the deposition and making notes on a yellow pad. This can go do it for you while you go do other things. One thing you can use AI for is to do legal research, right? And so this is how you would optimize your research. You got to give it an issue, define the legal questions that you're trying to answer. Give it the jurisdiction, the parameters, where does it need to stay within? Ask it to analyze patterns or look for similar cases that may have different results or whatnot. Then it can verify the citations, and then it can draft a memo for you. When you're asking it to cite, to give you citations, always check it. I've already had clients that have missed certain citations, turned out to be hallucinations, and they've gotten sanctioned for it, right? So you always want to check for AI verifications. So here's kind of an idea of how much time it can save you for different tasks. And I'm going to come back to this a little later when I talk about building your prompt library. Because as you find prompts that work, you want to save them and keep them somewhere so you can use them again on the next case or on the next task or whatnot. And so engagement letters, NDAs and confidentiality, whether it's searching or reviewing them or drafting them, demand letters, discovery responses, brief templates, client advisories, right, or client communications. Now, this kind of touches back to what I was talking about. So don't put privileged information in a public chatbot. When I talk about privileged is if you're a criminal defense attorney and I came up to you and I said, I murdered so-and-so. Don't go put that into chat because that waives the attorney-client privilege, because OpenAI and Claude are now required if they were to receive a subpoena for a court hearing or whatnot to release chat history, they will release your chat history. And so don't put privileged information in there. You're likely going to waive it. Verify all citations. Perfect example, and this was a public example, which was the Mata versus Avianca. There was a 5K sanction for an attorney that basically used AI and it cited case law that didn't even exist. to comply with the disclosure to communicate to your clients and stuff like that, make sure you put it in your retainers. Make sure you advise clients that you are using AI to help enhance their cases and help, keep up with the demands of the court or whatnot, right? And make sure you're learning about the changes. AI is advancing weekly. Laws are being put in place. Case hearings, like last week was when we found out about the subpoena issue. OpenAI has been saying, hey, we don't train on your data, we don't maintain records, blah, blah, blah. However, it turns out that they do maintain your chat history. And now if they get subpoenaed, they have to provide it, right? So keep up with the changing times, especially with AI. Let's talk about CPAs or financial departments and how AI can impact them. AI can help with financial statements, auditing, tax research, variance analysis, regulatory reporting, and giving advice to your clients, breaking down complex tax issues or financial issues into simple terms. I'm not a CPA and I'm not a financial person, and I actually use AI to make sense of financial reports I get from my accounting team. They'll give me a report that talks about a whole bunch of stuff that I don't understand necessarily, ratios and things like that, and I put the report into AI and I ask it to help explain it to me as a 5-year-old, make sense of it, and it helps me have good conversations with the accounting team. So a lot of these high impact ones are things that take a lot of time, data entry, or you're looking at data from information, putting it in a spreadsheet or whatnot to create pivot tables and stuff like that. So let's talk about a financial prompt template, right? This is using our, this is using the Clear, I believe. I forgot. I apologize, guys. So same framework, right? You are a senior audit manager with CPA certifications and 10 plus years experience. You're performing a year-end audit for so-and-so with revenue amounts, and they're in this industry or vertical. Using the following financial data, you're going to give it some data that it needs to create the reports or do the audit. You're going to tell it, I need you to do a variance analysis, ratio analysis with industry benchmarks, unusual transaction identification, risk assessment by account, and maturity calculations. You want it in an executive summary of findings. You want a detailed variance explaining anything that's more than 10%, risk rank testing priorities, any suggestions for audits, and document references, right? You're also going to tell it to follow certain standards in the accounting world, right? Whether it's GAAP or IFRS or PCA OB. So you're going to remember you're going to have to do that. Now, our next one is, here's another prompt for tax research. You're a senior tax manager specializing in corporate taxes or whatever it is. Comprehensive tax planning with, I want the result, comprehensive tax planning with supported positions and risk assessment. You're going to give it some insight. What's the client situation? What's or company, the entity type, your goals, right? You're going to give it some steps of what you need it to do. You're going to give it a personality, and you're going to ask it for an output based on a template or an example. Now, these are some rough numbers from larger organizations that have implemented AI. So this is just market research in general. So this may or may not apply to everyone. But for narratives, something that would normally take about approximately 4 hours is now taking 45 minutes because of the use of AI, right? Where you're asking it to do things with context and it's producing something that you just need to polish. Footnotes, variance analysis, board materials, right? All of those things that would take you time to prep can now be shaved from days to hours or minutes. So this frees you up to focus on analysis and not writing. more important tasks, bring value to your knowledge, not necessarily to how you're producing things. So this is big for CPA firms, ROI metrics, right? If you can shave efficiency or shave time, right? Reduce the amount of time spent on tax research by 60%, improve client communications by 50%, right? Find realization rates by 50%. All of those things are metrics that you can use. How much time are you saving from this prompt or from using AI or incorporating AI into your workflow? So going back to why prompts fail, and I'm bringing this back because it's really important for us to keep this at the top of mind. Don't be vague. Give it context. If you're not giving it background information and you're not giving it key things to consider, it's going to fail. It's going to give you an undesirable result. Make sure you tell it what tone you want it to write in. The tone is important. Give it a format. Otherwise, it's going to give you whatever format AI likes, and it's sectioned off and it's not that great. And you're going to sit there editing a document and spend more time editing formatting than you are if you were to receive a good document. And hallucination. When you contradict yourself in a prompt, for example, if I tell it I need a 3-page document, but I don't give it enough information or data for it to write a 3-page document, it will hallucinate. It will make things up to fill in the gaps because all the AI wants to do is please you. It does not, it wants to complete the task and make sure you're satisfied with it. So if you said 3 pages, but you don't give me enough information for 3 pages, it's going to give you 3 pages. And even though it's contradictory, it's going to go to please. It's going to decide to please you versus going with the information it's actually given. So please keep that in mind when you guys are prompting and giving it information and asking it for things. So building your prompt library. We talked about this. When you find a prompt and you build a prompt that works and gives you a good result in 1 or 2 shots, or it has pieces that are kind of built onto a process, right? Create a full filing system. Hey, these are prompts for daily tasks. These are prompts for contract review, or these are prompts for outlines. These are pleading responses, or whatever it is, right? Create folders in a filing system and share that with your team. A good goal is as you use AI every day, you're going to have a prompt that works and you'll be like, that's a really good prompt. I need to save it. And you save it and you go back and you use it over and over again. So how do you get to getting really good prompts and good results? Well, I would start with, your first 30 days, find 3 routine tasks that you want the AI to do. ChatGPT can do what's called scheduled tasks. I'm not 100% sure about Claude. I haven't tried it out, but I know in ChatGPT, for example, I spend 15 minutes every day looking or searching for AI news or cybersecurity news that I need to read, right? Well, I spent 15 minutes looking for stuff and then I'm reading them for 30 minutes or whatever. And I just spent a whole bunch of time that I could have saved. I have a scheduled task that at 5:30 every morning, I need a daily digest of all the AI news for in the past 24 hours. And then I have another one that says I need all the cybersecurity news. And so it gives me a digest with links to each of those articles that I'm able to go look. And I tell it, I like articles from these publishers or I follow these people or whatnot. And so my prompt in the clear framework is telling it what I need, when I need it, how I want it. And that saves me 20 minutes a day that I don't have to do. So think about basic tasks that are repetitive that you can have it do on a regular basis for you. ChatGPT has an integration with Outlook. Both Claude and ChatGPT have integrations with Gmail that they can go in and look at your emails and help start drafting. So you can create a task that says, every morning, go through my emails that I've received the day before and draft and create drafts for responses for them, right? Obviously, you want to be more specific and clear, but that will help it have an automatic scheduled task that is going to go in and do something for you, a routine thing that you spend time on. As you build on that, start thinking about how you can use it for more complex tasks, things that take more time, research that you shouldn't be, that you can get the initial part of the research done by building a good prompt. Start building your prompt library, right? Share with the team, ask people what prompts they're using to get that result if they tell you they used AI. The only way this works is when we all share with each other and communicate and build examples, right? And as you're going through, you're going to start thinking of ways you can integrate it into your workflow, right? How can I start measuring ROI? How can I start seeing where the value is on the time that I'm spending building my prompts or perfecting my prompts? So measuring success, right? Track these things weekly to see if it's working or not. And if it's not, reach out to us for help. We'll be happy to help you build a prompt or figure out what's going on, right? How much time saved per task, right? How accurate were your results? Did it get you 80% of the way there? Is it improving client communication that the client is happier? Is your turnaround getting quicker? Are you producing things sooner than you typically would had you done it the traditional way? And if you're saving time and your turnaround time is faster and your rework rate or your revision rate is shrinking, you have cost reduction now. You've reduced your overhead from a technical standpoint, and now you have free time to do more things or be more strategic or find new business or whatever it is. What gets measured gets managed. So as we wrap up and open up for questions, I just want to let everyone know we do have our next AI Lab on October 16th, and this is going to be building, customizing your own AI-powered projects. We're going to talk about projects and custom GPTs next month. Then we'll be going over tools and connectors. I kind of briefly mentioned them today, where you can have it go through your emails, go through your calendar, things like that. AI agents in action. We're going to talk about some features that are available. They're not the most secure yet, but cool to play with, cool to think about how can you incorporate it as they advance. They are advancing on a weekly basis. And then we're going to talk about actual workflows and building out that workflow from start to finish. So please sign up. Do we have any questions? See if there's anything in the Q&A here. Awesome. All right, everyone. Well, I wanted to thank you. Keep in mind, AI amplifies your expertise. It does not replace it. It's not here to replace any employees yet. It's supposed to be your superpower. Start off with the clear framework, graduate to crisp, keep trying, keep iterating. Track your ROIs and transform your practice. Thank you, everyone. Emily, you had a question?